Frank's Red Hot is the perfect blend of flavor and heat, so you can use an entire bottle to make recipes like buffalo chicken dip or buffalo nachos, or even things that don't start with buffalo. Frank's Red Hot, I put that on everything.
Oh, Craig.
You know, we were chatting for so long, I forgot my song. It was something, it was a Rolo TV jingle. And now I don't remember how it goes.
I was like, okay, what are you waiting for? And then I was like, did I scare him with my Craig? Like, was it a little aggressive?
I'll just play the actual Rolo jingle.
Okay.
Okay, hold on. Oh, no, wait, it's not going to work because I have headphones on. So, whatever. It's Rolo, something. Yeah, I don't know.
This is pretty much perfect for our 1-year anniversary podcast. This is the kind of garbage people have gotten used to.
I can't believe we've been doing this for a year, and look at this. We have something very big to talk about. This is the 1-year anniversary podcast of Podcast versus Everyone. I am still Craig Powers, and Jeff Nusser is with me, as always. Still Jeff. Nusser.
Yeah, 66, man. 66 damn episodes.
And since that first episode, we now have a new basketball coach, a new baseball coach, and a new football coach.
That's like perfect, man. We got
and we were worried about having stuff to talk about.
Yeah. And what's hilarious is, I don't know, maybe it's just the timing of us starting new things, but when we decided to start Coug Center, that's when Paul Wolf was hired. Well, Paul Wolf was hired before we started Coug Center, but that's basically what it was. New coach, new website, whatever. And then within the first year of Coug Center existing, Tony Bennett left. So that was great.
So great.
Replace a basketball coach, and so now 10 years later, 11 years later, here we are, and yeah, we're now on our third football coach and our fourth basketball coach since Coug Center started. Maybe that's how we should mark the years.
Third baseball coach,
right?
Yeah,
I think Farrington was the coach when we started.
And Marbit.
Yeah, and then Marbit was
also
there for
it's
a
fourth
while,
baseball coach then.
So who was in between? Who am I missing?
Lee's.
Yeah. So, duh. Yes. So there we go. Maybe Marbit was the coach. And I don't know. I don't know. Anyway. Yeah. How about that? Been around a while. We got something exciting to talk about.
Yeah, Rolo.
I don't even remember. How much did we talk about him, like, when Leach left and we, got on board with Michael? Did we talk much about him?
I think we spent 5 minutes.
Because I don't feel like we talked about him very much.
Yeah.
But then between then and, so we're recording this Tuesday night. Between then and Monday night when the news broke, I know that I and a lot of other people were hearing about a lot of momentum for Rolovich. And so I went from not really thinking a whole lot about him. I think I was pretty, if I remember right, I was pretty hard going for Brian Harsin. I think that's who I was sort of rooting for at that point, and he was kind of my main guy. We talked obviously a lot about Alex Grinch because of all the the obvious connection there. But as the week wore on and we got into the weekend, and I was talking to people and other people were talking to people, it was pretty clear that everything was kind of pointing to Rolovich. And the more I looked at him and the more I checked up on his sort of his track record and what he would bring to the table, I'm fucking fired up, dude.
Yeah, one of the things that Preston mentioned, because I mentioned his offense. Preston made a nice point during that podcast. I think through the barely stout haze that I was in, was that he basically was making something out of nothing in Hawaii, and that's the kind of coach that obviously Chun knows to look for, and the kind of coach what you need in Pullman, a coach who can be successful while being at a a resource disadvantage compared to their peers. And obviously Kyle Smith was a clear hire there, and now we see Rolovich is the same vein. So after we kind of heard over the weekend that it was really looking like Rolovich, you kind of thought, like, yeah, this really makes a lot of sense. Like he's proven to take a program that was really bad under Chow in Hawaii, and then turned it around in 4 years to the point where they're playing in their conference championship game, and they win 10 games, albeit they played 15, but that's what happens in Hawaii when you end up in a championship game.
They get an extra game. They deserve it.
But yeah, so they win 10 games. They won eight the year before, 8-6, 10-5 after a bad second season. But we saw Leach had a really bad second season as well, or third season after like there's those down years. Like he had a good first year and then a down year, and it's because maybe you're graduating some guys. But when he had his guys in there, they were good, and that's the type of guy we're looking for. Obviously, the offensive identity. We're a spread school. We've been a spread school for a very long time. Even under Wolf, by the time by the time his last year, they were running spread offense as well. So it's just that's who WSU is, and it's actually, you pointed it out to me, and you wrote about it a little bit on Kook Center, but the roster, you probably couldn't have found, outside of a true air raid coach, like maybe Graham Harrell or someone, or Seth Luttrell, you probably couldn't find a guy who can bring in an offense that matches up with the roster as well as Nick Rolovich.
There aren't very many people running offenses that use the kind of roster that we have, and Nick Rolovich is maybe basically it. Most other air raid guys have moved back toward incorporating some power run concepts, things like that. So they've got tight ends and they do some things there. So it's, in terms of a guy who is going to use this roster with its, 20 receivers and 20 linemen and, all that good stuff. Rolovich is that guy. And one of the reasons I think I didn't initially put a whole heck of a lot of stock in him because I honestly just didn't know that much about him. And that's not surprising given, that he coaches in Hawaii. Their games are on, sometimes like, even later than ours. Right. And his success was good, but not, over the top good. And when his name popped up, my first thought was, okay, yeah, that's normal. Guy at, group of 5 school has a little bit of success. And so his name is connected with, an open job at a Power 5 school, and at a Power 5 school, that's kind of a lower tier, Power 5 school. So, those kinds of schools like Wazoo and, Arizona, Oregon State, whatever, they're typically looking at coordinators and group of 5 coaches, right? And so, I just kind of went.
Oregon State just straight coached Gary Anderson, but
yeah, but we later found out that Gary Anderson's a weird ass dude, and that's why they were able to get him, right? And then Arizona with Sumlin, they're able to get him because Texas A&M is still paying him $3 million a year, $4 million a year to that coach. So so most of the rest of us down here, we hire guys that were coordinators. Justin Wilcox was a coordinator. Grant Cristobal had head coaching experience a while ago, and I know Oregon's not really on our tier, but anyway, the point is, we're typically associated with guys like Rolovich, and I went, okay, that makes sense, whatever. And then I looked at him and I thought, actually, this guy checks a heck of a lot of boxes. Something that a piece of writing I've been working on that I won't dive too deep into, but I'm a firm believer in the idea that programs have personalities, and if you stray too far from that personality, you're really kind of asking for it. And WSU has a history going back, 40 plus years of, really like almost 50 years of, wide open, passing based offenses that, are designed to move the ball and get a quarterback back there, strong-armed guy who can fling it all over the field. And this is part of our DNA. And, when you stray too far from that, I think any program, is really kind of asking for trouble. And the more I looked into Rolovich, I went, yeah, he totally fits that. He's a little bit of a character, which is cool. He's had success at a program for a few years, which I think is important right now, because I wasn't 100% sold on the idea of hiring a coordinator to take over a program that was in really good shape. Because you want to make sure you're building on what's already there. And I think Rolovich really checks all those boxes, and I'm excited. Maybe this is just sort of a side thing, but you at some point certain things get a little bit stale, and not that I wanted Leach to go away, because I definitely didn't, but you learned all about the air raid. We knew it kind of backwards and forwards, and we kind of knew what to look for and what to see. Well, now we get to learn a new thing, and that's pretty cool too.
Yeah, obviously the air raid was fun this year because we kind of saw it operate differently. It's the last 2 years we kind of saw different elements, and like last year it was with a mobile quarterback, and then this year with just more explosion. But still, it was the same offense and the same routes and the same everything.
Yeah.
Leach didn't throw in many wrinkles over his time, and typically when he did, it didn't work, and he got rid of it. So,
right.
The shovel pass was a rare occurrence.
Worked for a year.
The pop pass never worked. So, but yeah, so it's I'm excited. I'm really excited. We've been watching these kind of air raid variants where you have mobile quarterbacks and things like that, and you kind of get a little jealous. You're like, up until this year at least, when WSU's air raid finally got real explosive, but you're kind of like watching these teams like Baylor and West Virginia with years and years ago with Dana, and even with Houston this year, and it's just like, oh, we could do that. Like it's not that, like, mobile quarterbacks are not, like, to find the elite ones like Tua are hard, but you can still find mobile guys. Like, we found a high 3-star mobile guy that would obviously fits perfectly in this offense. The older guys we have on the roster, who knows, like, we know they're athletic, but we don't know if that doesn't mean you're a mobile quarterback, obviously.
Right.
But just to have a new element to watch, and it's cool how he incorporated that into the run and shoot. And it's going to be fun to go to spring ball again and just kind of watch a different offense and all that. Like, it's going to be it's going to be fun, and he seems like a fun character, not to the level of Leach where they're just going to be asking him nonsense like in every presser, but like to the point where he's probably going to be a pretty fun guy to watch on the sideline, and he definitely has like a style. He's got that logo that he brought with him that they adapted with the WSU logo. Like, so he's got a little trademark to him, and so I don't know. I think it's fun. He seems like a fun guy, and I'm excited to see his press conference on Thursday. I have a feeling he's really excited about this, much like Kyle Smith was. Even because you get a guy who's leaving his alma mater, even as resource poor as they were, I'm sure that's difficult. And is getting and we could talk about this. He's getting quite a raise.
Yeah, he is.
So the report we've seen is nearly $3 million. Now, is that higher than you expected? And do you even care?
Yes and no. So those are my answers. It's definitely a bit higher than I expected. I figured he'd command maybe like 2.5, on the high end, but I'm going to
guess it's probably like 2.75.
Well, that's the thing. So like when you say, when it was written, nearly 3 million, it's like, okay, so that sounds to me like his source was his agent. Like Pete Thamel's source was his agent, Ronovich's agent, because the agent, of course, wants to make it sound like it's really good, right? 5-year deal, nearly $3 million. Okay, so Thamel goes 5-year deal, nearly $3 million, and if it comes out that it's $275, and so I think that it's basically worked. I think because we have a significant portion of our fans who are freaking the heck out about paying him $3 million. And it might be, 2 3/4, right? And if it's 2 3/4, all of a sudden he's, in the bottom half, squarely in the bottom half of salaries in the Pac-12. If it's 3, like 2.9 or 3, then he's basically about the median. So to answer your second question, no, I don't give a shit, man. If it's the right guy, make sure you get him. Don't lose. How many times do we hear about a school losing a guy because they tried to nickel and dime him on the contract? Right. And it's like, if your guy is your guy, then go get your guy and pay him, a competitive wage and get him in there, and if he's as good as you think, then he's going to pay back that value many times over. And in the end, honestly, it's not my money anyway,
Yeah.
Spend away, WSU, spend away.
And if you're a kook who's worried about, coaches leaving us, well, a good way to start off on the right foot with a guy and build some loyalty is to value him or her.
And how do you say we believe in you, like,
and then be like, we're not going to pay you that much.
Yeah, we believe in you, but here's this contract that what I mean. Just if you believe in the guy, believe in the guy, and if you got to pay him a little bit more than what you thought, then pay him a little bit more than what you thought. Make sure you get the deal done. Make sure you get your guy. And it's like, okay, so let's just say this. Like, when I looked at most lists, it was Harsin, it was Grinch, it was Rolovich. Like, I saw those top 3 all over the place. Okay, so let's say you go to Rolovich and you're like $2 million, and he's like, hey, yeah, I'm gonna need a little better than that to leave Hawaii. I know I'm not making much of Hawaii, but it's Wazoo, it's whatever. Like, I'm just gonna need you to do better than that. Nah, $2 million's what we got. Well, I know you paid your last coach. You're gonna pay your last coach $4 million, so I know you've got it. Yeah, but we just think you're worth $2 million. Right. And I know it's hard for, like, people like you and I and other fans to wrap our brains around that, because
it's so much money.
Yeah. We are never going to make that much money in our lifetime. I mean, over our lifetime, sure, but not in a single year in our lifetime. Right. And so it's hard for us to kind of wrap our brains around that and be like, okay, but really you have to go, okay, so how does that feel? Well, we really like you, but, it's better just to say, hey, we like you. Here's a fair salary. If the guy comes in and says, I need 3.5, it's like, that doesn't make a lot of sense. $3,275,000, yeah, that's in the ballpark of a competitive Pac-12 wage. And if that's what it takes to get the deal done and everybody feels good, because that's actually important, that everybody feels good. I know, fans like to be like, well, it doesn't really matter. It does matter. It does matter. You need, listen, how many people work in a place where they don't feel valued? And how shitty does that feel? Right? Like, I've been in that position. It sucks. It absolutely sucks. So to get on the right foot, like you said, have everybody feeling good, there's value in that. And, the other thing is, this is something I'll throw out too. I'm really curious to see what the buyout is, because I think there's a chance maybe they paid him a little higher salary in exchange for a higher buyout in the end. Because sometimes a coach will say, okay, you're only going to pay me this much, but now my buyout's going to be, $500,000 or whatever. And, so if I succeed on your bargain basement price, then I get a chance to jump. There's a lower barrier to me jumping to a bigger job. And so, maybe WSU did a little bit of a trade-off with a $2 million buyout or something, that, maybe offsets the higher salary. I don't think it's that high, but you know what I mean? Like a higher buyout to justify maybe paying him a little bit more in the end.
Yeah, and I know some fans, I've seen some consternation over the 28-27 record. But he was only there. He was there 4 years. One of the years was 3-9. That was the second year when he's trying to rebuild the team. If you look at Leach, it took Leach a long time. He's 55-47 when he leaves, and he's only even in Pac-12 play when he leaves. Like, right. After that 4-year stretch where they won 39 games, like, he had to dig out of a hole where he went 3-9, 6-7, 3-9. Like, he had to dig out of that hole. I remember it taking him a long time to get back even, because you're like, like after 9-4 and 8-5, and I think he still had a losing record at that point, and you're just like, man, like, and we know he's
like,
better than that.
Hell.
So like every broadcast they show us over our record, like, don't show that, like that's stupid. And it's the same with Rolovich. Like Hawaii was in a bad place when he showed up. He actually, got a bowl game out of him the very first year, but you have that next year where it just when you're trying to institute, but then what happened is after that 3-9, 1-7 season in 2017, he said, "We're changing this offense. Like we're doing something different." And that's when he switched to a run and shoot, which was offense that no one was using. Like no one was using run and shoot variants really. And they switched to the run and shoot, and instantly 8-6, 5-3 in conference, 10-5, 5-3 in conference. Go to the conference championship game, win your bowl game. So yeah, like it's win your bowl game over BYU, I think, and so it's obviously it's a home game, but whatever. But still, it's there's context to that 28-27 record. I get it. It's a Mountain West school 28-27 record, and if that's all you're looking at, I know you're not going to be impressed. But you have to look at what happened, and you have to have some context. It was where the best football came when he had been in the program for 3+ years, and when he had installed the current offense that he runs.
Yeah, the offense made a huge trajectory upward in the last 2 years after he re-put that in. And it's worth noting, like, he didn't just, willy-nilly decide we're going to be a run and shoot team. Hawaii's history with the run and shoot goes back, to June Jones. And, they've had some of their, their biggest success, doing the run and shoot. And by the way,
what he ran.
Right. Rolovich played. He was the run and shoot quarterback under June Jones. So that's what he knew. And he was, Greg McMacken ran the run and shoot when Rolovich was his offensive coordinator. And then of course, Rolovich goes off to Nevada where he's he sort of learns about the pistol and basically runs the pistol for 4 years, which is kind of wild because that's a really different offense than the run and shoot. And so what was interesting to me was, it basically came back to Hawaii and, really sort of seemed to lean more toward a lot of pistol principles. And I don't know, somebody smarter than me, Brian Anderson or Jesse Casino or whatever, are going to dig, maybe more into this, but at least philosophically seemed to lean more toward the pistol. And after a couple of years, he was like, you know what, this isn't working. I'm not satisfied with this, and of course that comes on the heels of, his worst season. He's like, it's just kind of not working. And he even describes that he was going for balance, right? The mythical, 50-50 balance, right? Yeah. And he finally just went, you know what? Psh, forget it. We're going back to air raid. And of course going back to run and shoot. And he did that after talking with Mike Leach and talking with Dan Hawkins and decides, you know what? I just got to be me. And of course it's taken off to the point where this past year, his offense was number 30 in S&P Plus. And that's really good. Like that's where, go ahead.
Well, so when you talk about their number 30 S&P Plus offense, when you look at total yardage and all that stuff, they were like in the top 20s and stuff. Obviously, it's adjusted for competition and that stuff. But they also beat 2 Pac-12 schools this year. They had one less Pac-12 win than WSU.
And they had an easier time with Oregon State than we did.
And they scored more points against UW.
Yeah. And gained more yards and Anyway.
But so these are with recruiting classes that are in the hundreds rankings.
Right.
And Zane wrote about it today on Kook Center, and I highly encourage you to go look at both of his interactive graph posts. But basically, WSU under Leach was outperforming their recruiting classes better than anyone. And that's exactly what Rolovich was doing.
Yep.
So obviously we want a guy that's going to recruit better, but Hawaii, it's just so hard to gauge how well someone recruits at Hawaii because they don't have facilities. And so even the kids that are in Hawaii, and there are a pretty decent number of good recruits in Hawaii, they don't go there. They go to Power 5 big schools.
Most of the good recruits leave the island.
Yeah.
Like, for example, our quarterback recruit.
I think of the top 30, and they had a lot of like they had almost I think 8 or 9 4-stars or so in Hawaii, which is like more than Washington.
Yeah.
But they of that none of them, like I think the highest one that went to Hawaii was like 14 or something, and then they had one other in the top 30. But other than that, like that just shows you how bad the resource is, because obviously Hawaii is like if you grew up there, and then you don't like, you probably love that weather, like, and but these kids are going to the Big Ten, and they're going to Pullman, and they're going to play cold places.
Yeah, I mean, we had 2 Hawaii recruits at one point. Gilman obviously decommitted and went elsewhere, but at one point we had 2 from Hawaii coming to Pullman.
Yeah, so it's not an easy place to recruit. There's also the point of I believe I saw somewhere that he had like just over $1 million for the entire staff. Like,
yeah, and
WC was paying Tracy Clays, I think, $850,000.
Yeah, something like that.
So if you think like WC is paying their defensive coordinator, and we talked about like Brent Venables at Clemson was making like $1.2 million this year.
Right.
So, that was what, for every single offensive and defensive staffer plus chief of staff, whatever, like that's everyone. You have $1.2 million, and he's going to have at least triple that at WSU.
Yeah,
to
I mean,
hire
we were
coaches.
at 3.5.
Yeah.
And I think it's a pretty decent guess that goes up a bit.
I would
given,
hope so.
Doing the math on, Leach's departure. I mean, you're not going to pay a $4 million salary. You're not going to pay a $750,000 bonus. And then you are going to collect $2.25 million from Mississippi State. So that's $7 million that basically you have cash on hand in your budget that you were planning on spending on a football coach, right? Plus the buyout. So, and now $3 million,
whatever the Hawaii buyout was,
right? Which was I believe, I want to say $250,000. I think that's right.
Yeah.
So so less that, you're talking 6 3/4. And then less whatever his salary is, which is, let's just put a round number on it. Let's put 3 on it. So that leaves, $3 3/4 million, surplus of what you expected to have. And so, do they take, and I would love this, take $1 million of that and put it into the assistant pool. And all of a sudden your assistant pool is now, $4.5 million instead of $3.5 million.
Which is what we've seen at places like Oregon and Arizona State.
Arizona State. Yep. And it's successful. I have long thought, and when I say long, I say like for like 5 years, thought that, the assistant pool was a place where you could maybe take advantage of a little bit of a market inefficiency, right? Instead of giving all the money to the head coach.
Right.
That's obviously less than what it was. More and more schools are kind of going that direction. Unless they have a superstar coach, they're saying, okay, look, we're going to pay you this, but we're also going to give you
the post-Tosh era.
Exactly. We're going to give you, this much money so you can hire all your, hire really good assistants. And look, if they win, if you got great assistants, then everybody's going to win, and you're going to make more money in the end. And obviously it's worked out for Oregon, taking half our assistants from Leach's staff. So
Oregon just picked us clean of all of our best assistants, and it's like, because they can pay them more, and they're at Oregon too. So
even if you add $1 million to the assistant pool or something like that, that still gives you approximately $2 million towards closing the budget deficit. Like you can accomplish a lot here. Getting the right coach and increasing the assistant pool, and maybe paying down some of that deficit. All of that together is just it's a really good situation. And I don't know that there was another coach out there where you'd be like, well, maybe we should have spent $4 million on a coach. Like, I just don't know who that guy is that I would have wanted.
If you're paying Rolovich 2.75 to 3. What are you paying Harsin? Like 3.5,
3.5, probably something like that. So
there wasn't and I guess Harsin would probably be the highest paid coach that we were looking at, like realistically.
Yeah, I would think Grinch would probably command something like that too, or he would at least ask for something like that.
Yeah, because he's probably making a pretty good salary at Oklahoma.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure he's over $1 million there.
Yeah.
And then the other thing is, so when I hear the Coug fan report about, hey, he declined an interview, I mean, that stuff is, it can be real dicey anyway. That could be he could be declining because WSU and his agent already talked numbers a little bit just to feel each other out, and WSU says, yeah, we're looking at a salary in this range, and his agent goes, nah, we're not coming to Pullman, or even thinking about coming to Pullman for less than this, and everybody just goes, okay, it's not going to work, and they move on. So it's tough to know. It's tough to know how those things go down, and it wouldn't shock me if Grinch was like, hey, if I'm coming back to Pullman, a place that's obviously rumored that he maybe doesn't necessarily want to be. That they're going to have to pay him to make it worth his time. And, so anyway, I think back to Rolovich, checks all the boxes, does all the right things that you want. And I don't know that with an extra $1 million, you get anybody else that feels better than this.
Well, and if you're worried about the defense, which is a legitimate worry,
whatever, defense can be fine.
Because their defenses are pretty bad at Hawaii, but here's the thing, that's when you're looking at a point of like he had $1.2 million to hire his offensive and defensive staff.
It's insane.
I'm sure he was investing more in the offense. You got to look for what you can do, and
you're paying those people to live in Hawaii.
In Hawaii, yeah,
it's crazy.
In Honolulu, like it's not cheap.
Yeah,
and,
it's insane.
Like even him making $600,000 there probably wasn't like.
Yeah, no, he wasn't.
I mean,
rich.
he was well
off.
taken care of.
Well off, but not rich.
Yeah, but now, can you imagine that? Like, I've gotten like I think my last job change, I got like a 40% raise.
Yeah,
but we're in the tens of thousands here,
right?
But you're going from 600,000 to now you're a legit millionaire. Like
you're a millionaire, and you're still living in Pullman, which is
you're living in Pullman,
not Hawaii.
Your house is the most expensive house in Pullman is like I don't know $600,000 or something. Right. Like you're good. You're probably just you're probably buying Mike Leach's house
probably,
and I don't know. Hopefully his wife likes Pullman. That's our main problem. The wives.
I know.
Alex Grinch's wife, everyone says, didn't like Pullman. I don't know. Tony Bennett's wife didn't like Pullman.
I mean, look, those of us who went there, we love it, right? Obviously we love it. But I mean, I can see where it's a bit of an acquired taste, and maybe not for everybody if you didn't go there.
I think Leach liked it.
I can definitely see that.
I think Leach liked it.
Leach from Wyoming, man.
Like he walked to work
like he don't
3
care.
miles or whatever he did. Like he loved it, man.
He's just like whatever, and so that does not surprise me at all that he was cool with it, and hopefully Rolovich seems like a down to earth dude. I mean, I have spent more time than you can fathom learning about Nick Rolovich over the last like 4 days. I spent my whole weekend writing Rolovich stories, as many people noticed when the hiring was announced, and we bombed the site with like about 4 stories right away. So yeah, I've he seems like a down to earth dude. Just kind of a conservative, down to earth guy. He'll fit right in Eastern Washington, that's for sure. And people are gonna love him. They really are. So
yeah. I'm excited for the hire. I think this is very like Chun runs these things well, and I'm glad it was him doing this and not his predecessor, because I think would have ended up with just some big name retread.
Would we have gotten like who's the big name retread we would have gotten? Jim Mora?
Probably Bellotti or someone like that, like. Yeah,
Bellotti's too old though. He didn't really want into that. A funny name that I heard that tried to throw his name into the ring here was Jeff Fisher.
Oh man, I could have totally seen that.
Could you imagine that?
That's
what Bill Moose
hire.
would have done.
Oh yeah, that's a total Moose hire.
Something like that. So, yeah.
But
I don't know. Although maybe we're being unfair.
Comment. I saw someone comment. Can't go 7 and 9. But okay. You say maybe we're being unfair, but
I mean, he did hire Leach.
What's the equivalent of that? Like,
I'm trying to think right
Leach
now.
was such a unique situation where you had this very successful coach
who was still fairly young.
Still fairly young and unemployed for weird reasons.
Weird reasons.
Yeah. And like that was the Leach situation was the weirdest thing. And it's funny because like Leach's initial salary, and obviously we're 8 years out, will be like roughly the same as Rolovich's.
Less.
So less. Yeah, I think it was like
2.25. Yeah, I want to say it was 2.25.
4 year, 11 million. I want to say the first.
Yeah, it was something like that. And at that time for us, it was like, oh my god, what can we pay that? Right? like can we do that? We don't pay. I mean, what was Wolf was making 600,000.
600,000.
Right.
600,000.
Yeah, and we went and got Mike Leach, and that always.
I mean, that was obviously a great hire. That was Moose's crowning achievement.
Yeah,
of course.
That
and helping secure
getting everything built, all the capital.
And helping secure equal payout for all Pac-12 schools, even us little ones in Pullman.
Yeah.
But anyway, so I don't know. I just don't think this is a hire that Moose would make.
I don't think so either, and I don't think I don't think Kyle Smith is either. So
he wants a name or something, like I mean, he hired Ernie Kent.
He wants his sizzle, right? His sizzle.
He thought
with
Ernie Kent was sizzle, but
that's what he thought.
Leach was definitely sizzle.
Definitely.
Sizzle
oh
there.
my god! Like I was kind of reflecting on that over the last couple of days, thinking about like just how batshit crazy that whole thing was, and just how over the moon we were. About him and signing, like just hiring him, and can you believe this? I mean, I just remember it was so bonkers, and even now it still seems kind of surreal. I mean, it's hard to remember just how insane it was to think of little old Wazoo, right, hiring a guy with that kind of name and that kind of cachet, and and what was funny was, over 8 years or so, it kind of became, normal that Mike Leach was our coach, right? To the point where
Mike Leach was Wazoo. He was Wazoo.
Yeah, like
Mike Leach was Wazoo.
To the point where some of our fans were, getting a little tired of him, and and I don't blame him in the sense that
because he very much was the face of the school.
Yeah, and things get stale. There's no doubt about that. Like there is a shelf life to most coaches. And so when we're talking about a coach,
especially when you're not like reaching the highest highs type thing,
right?
Like if you're winning championships, then
yes,
you don't get stale. But
fans expect linear improvement, right? Yep. They expect if you're on an upward trajectory, they expect that trajectory to continue. And when a coach kind of hits what appears to be maybe a little bit of a ceiling. People get impatient no matter what the success is. And I think, you and I are in agreement, if Leach had wanted to stick around forever, we would have been cool with that. But the reality was there were a lot of fans that didn't feel that way, that were like, hey, we need to take the next step. How do we get to the next level? How do we win Pac-12 championships? We can't do that with Leach. And, it got to a point where it was like even you and I who were like, yeah, like he can stick around forever. This is fun. I like winning games, more than I lose. Like, this is cool. I think even you and I can understand where that sentiment comes from. Like, I didn't understand some of the vitriol, like people who were angry about it. Like, I never understood that. But
and I think it's because there's a lot of Cougs that have memories of going to the Rose Bowl. Like, it's
sure.
I mean, it's
possible.
It's possible, and it's coming up on 20 years ago almost, but it's still possible.
It's crazy.
But. And because I think part of what worked against him is that he was so close a couple times, and it was that school in Seattle that prevented it 3 times in a row.
Right. And you and I look at that, by the way, and go, Okay, but they were so close. Like they just need a couple things to go different, and we're good. And so if Mike Leach sticks around,
we'll
probably break through at some point. But
I don't know if I thought that, actually.
Oh, that's how I felt. Okay, maybe you didn't feel that way. That is how I
don't
felt.
know.
Like,
I kind of felt like
I'd rather take my chances. I'd rather continue on the course we were going, take my chances that we're going to break through at some point.
I would say
then make a change.
I'd be fine with continuing on the course we were going because it was fun. But I really just I mean, Leach went to a couple Cotton Bowls at Texas Tech, but the Cotton Bowl was not one of the major bowl games when he went to the Cotton Bowl. It was a major bowl game, but it was not one of the BCS bowl games. Yeah. And then so it is now one of the premier bowl games, but back then it was a major bowl game. Like you had to be like a second or third in the Big 12 or something to get to it. But it was he's never been to a BCS bowl or a college football playoff, New Year's Six bowl, and he's coached a lot of years at this point, and he's been very close a couple times, but has just had these games where his team has faltered. Obviously, after that huge Crabtree touchdown win over Texas in 2008, they got their asses kicked by Oklahoma.
Yep.
And we obviously saw, multiple years where we got big wins and then got our asses kicked by UW and then it ends. And so at some point you're just like, I don't know, maybe there's just something to it. Like his ceiling is the Alamo Bowl or next year, the Vegas Bowl or LA Bowl or whatever. And like, it's not, where we want to be. Like, even if we kind of felt like we deserved a Fiesta Bowl bid last year, but because of contractual obligations, we couldn't get one. But it was 8+ what he had 10 years at Texas Tech, 18 years.
10 years, 8 years, yeah.
So 18 years of winning football. He didn't miss. He went to a bowl game every year at Texas Tech. He missed it twice at WSU. But still couldn't get to that, that peak. And sure. Obviously, if WSU was still in the Pac-10, I think there would have been a year possibly that they could have got one of those three-way ties that we're so good at and gotten to a Rose Bowl. But obviously, the Pac-12 changed that. It's because we do have a Pac-12 North Championship from 2018.
That is true.
If you remember.
That is true.
But yeah, I don't
print
know.
the shirts.
But yeah, okay. So I don't know. That's enough about Leach.
Probably too much Leach talk.
But anyways, to the point where I don't know. Like now with Rolovich, it's just like we don't know. Like I think he's good. I think he is good enough to not tank anything. I wouldn't be surprised if there was some growing pains. And I mean, he's got Utah State and Houston at home to start off next year. It's not a soft landing.
Not at all.
And so he could easily take WSU to a bowl game next year and then build them up, to what he wants, and he could make great hires, and that'll be huge. What we saw under Leach is his second round of staff is really when WSU kicked into gear. Yeah. So hopefully we get those great hires right off the bat, and we kind of keep this thing going. But you still kind of get this feeling like, okay, we saw the ceiling with Leach. Maybe Rolovich's is higher. He's only 40. He's a young coach. He's got growing to do. We don't know. He doesn't even know exactly who he is yet, but he still clearly knows how to run a program. So he could be better. Like he could end up being a great coach, and hopefully he can, burst us through that ceiling, that Pac-12 North ceiling, that purple colored ceiling, as we talked about last week.
Yeah, that, it's going to be interesting to see. I mean, my personal opinion is we are much more likely to go back to, seasons, the occasional 3 and 4 win season, than we are to continue with what Leach had done. But I feel really good about Rolovich being the kind of guy that can continue it. And, some of the fun is kind of figuring that out. And people are going to be, I think, happy with the stylistic change, because I think that people who fancy the passing attack are still going to feel pretty good, because there's still going to be lots of passing. And it's actually going to be a little more aggressive maybe than what we've gotten used to with the air raid. Now, we did just, this last year get blessed by an air raid offense that was actually pretty aggressive. After a few years of something that was a little more conservative. Not that Minshew was totally conservative, but we went from Falk, who was very, very conservative, throwing lots of short passes. This offense is definitely looking more for the explosive play. Like that's definitely the goal of the run and shoot is to hit that explosive play. And then people who have been wanting more running attack, they're going to get it. They're definitely going to get it. And I don't know that it's going to be I don't know that it's going to feel like a massive shift, because I think what you're probably going to do is eliminate a lot of those very short passes, screens, and things like that we've gotten used to that sort of pump up those pass attempt totals. Those are the kinds of things that you're going to see dropping out of the attack and replaced by running plays. So, and not only that, Hawaii's number one running back only ran the ball about 3 more times a game than Max Borghi did this year. So,
but their number 2 running back ran it about 100 more times than
and that's true than our number 2.
WSU's number 2.
So totally true on that. And then of course you've got and then the quarterback is going to be a weapon, is going to be used as a weapon. So yeah, going to be really interesting. And like I said earlier, that learning something new and especially I think it's really cool. Like a lot of offenses, you go, okay, well, what are they trying to do? And you're trying to learn it. Well, with the air raid, it's like, hey, this is what they do. You can learn it. The run and shoot is kind of the same. Like this is what they do, and you can learn it. So I'm excited to kind of figure that out more than just kind of trying to piece together the hodgepodge of whatever influences an offensive coordinator had. It's really cool when they run a distinct system,
and it's good for WSU in any sport when they run a distinct system.
Absolutely. Should we take a break?
Well, maybe talk some hoops.
Yeah. Maybe talk some beer.
If we want to talk about growing pains.
Yeah. Maybe talk some beer.
Talk some beer, talk some hoops, and get out of here.
All right, let's do it. All right, we're back. Guess what I just ate?
A Rolo.
A Rolo. I just ate a Rolo.
I ate some
to go with my Rolo, because you let me know that sometimes barley wines are called Rolos.
Sometimes barley wines are described as having Rolo
as Rolos. Okay, there we go.
Rolo flavors.
Because that makes sense.
Because you often get that caramel vibe in the barley wine, and sometimes you can get some of that roasty malt goodness that gives you kind of that chocolatiness.
Yep.
So.
Does yours?
I know
what you're drinking.
Yeah. So I am drinking Coug Center approved and Coug owned brewery Skookum barley wine. So I've actually drank a Skookum barley wine on this before, but this is a different one.
All right.
Because Hollis loves to make him some barley wine. The last one I was in Ruins. This one is called Barren Wood. It's kind of their flagship barley wine that they release every year. They changed the label this year. It's really cool. It's got kind of this barren tree and then a barrel that's kind of been worn, and it's got some good Old West vibes going on. Hollis Wood is the brewer at Skookum, and Skookum is kind of the barley wine kings of the north, maybe not the Northwest. What you're drinking, I would say, maybe the kings of the barley wine kings of the Northwest, but in terms of volume. But basically, they released 3 different barley wines last fall, like within a month and a half. They released 3, and barley wine. I'm talking about barley wines that were aged over a year in bourbon barrels. They released 3 in a row.
That's a lot.
And so Skookum, I've talked to Hollis, he loves making barley wines, and that's his favorite style of beer. So I'm drinking Barren Wood out of a Barley Wine is Life glass. So you can see that on my Twitter. It's definitely got a caramel notes. I get a little Rolo. This is definitely a thick boy. A delicious barley wine, Barrenwood. If you live in the Seattle area, you might still be able to find a bottle of this kicking around at your local bottle shop, but maybe not. But this is delicious. I love everything that Skookum does, but I especially love the barley wines. And Jeff, I know what the brewery that you have a beer from.
Yeah.
And I had been saving some beers to kind of pop your hair of the dog cherry because they're so distinct. Like their beers are so distinct, and I'll let you describe the beer and see if you find some of the distinct qualities. But like you got one of their kind of weird ones.
It's definitely weird.
It's definitely kind of a break from what they normally do, but go ahead and describe what your beer is.
So this is the hair of the dog, and I think it's probably pronounced Maja, Maja. Vanilla
it's
maple.
A Swedish name, I think.
Okay, there we go. Vanilla maple bourbon barley wine, which is an interesting combination.
It means pearl.
Yeah, there we go. I like that. So yeah, I'm drinking this guy, and the vanilla definitely makes it a little weird. It's lighter in color, I think, than what you'd expect.
Yes.
Definitely kind of a lighter flavor than what you'd expect, and not really overly sweet, which I've talked about before is something I don't particularly care for.
Yeah,
but this one is much more carbonated than the last one I had, which is kind of a texture I enjoy more than sort of
more carbonated than the hair of the dog.
Than the last hair of the dog. Beer that I had. So
that's the funny, because hair of the dog is, and I'll share some with you sometime.
Yeah.
Most of their strong ales, old ales. I mean, they have a bunch of barley wines, but they don't always call them barley wines. But they're almost flat. But yeah, that Maha one is kind of oddly carbonated for them.
Yeah. So, really good. And as I was drinking it, I was like, okay, there's vanilla, and am I like tasting some fruit? And so then I read the side of it, and it said, aromas of peaches and pleasant memories of the past. In the mouth, pineapple mixes with marshmallow, maple, and whimsy. And I'm like, yeah, that's kind of what I was tasting. So
does it say the collaboration brewery on there?
It does. It's Omnipollo or Omnipollo.
Yeah, so they're a Swedish brewery. They're known for, that's, what is it, maple, bourbon, vanilla, barley wine?
Yep,
right?
vanilla, maple, bourbon.
They're known for just hyping up, like, crazy shit in their beers. Like, IPAs with all sorts of fruits and stouts with all sorts of, like, too much vanilla often, like, and stuff like that. So that's kind of what they're known for. And so I think when they collaborate with Hair of the Dog, who usually has these more kind of balanced, tight, like generally nothing over the top in them type of beers. I'm assuming the brewers at Hair of the Dog thought it'd be funny to, like, because even the label on that thing is kind of out of control for them. Like, usually it's kind of muted colors, and that one you have is right. It's like hot pink and blue and stuff, if I remember right.
It is. It's kind of orange, like a very bright orange.
Yeah.
But yes, and purple. There's some purple.
You eat another Rolo there?
I'm having another Rolo. Sorry, you asked me a question while I was eating my Rolo.
That's why I did. I was going to eat Rolos during the podcast, but I figured they're a very difficult thing to talk and eat with.
It is true. Time. I was like, I'm just going to like lean back and chew, and then you asked me a question. I was like, damn it, I had a Rolo in my mouth.
So yeah,
I haven't had a Rolo. By the way, I've not had a Rolo in a long time. That's good. Like, that's a good ass candy. I just want to point that out.
I got some Rolos in my stocking this year, so I had quite a few recently.
Had a guy.
But I went to the Walgreens last night. That's a couple blocks from my house, and they had Rolo ice cream, so I got some Rolo ice cream, and then I got some big old bags of Rolo, and I'm ready. Yeah. I'm ready for Pullman this weekend with my Rolos on the way.
Ready. Yeah, so the beer's good. I like it. It's different. It's a little weird, but
every hair of the dog beer is a little weird.
Yeah, I have not been disappointed yet, though. Like it's definitely not bad. It's definitely good.
Hair of the Dog has been making barley wine type beers, barrel aged barley wine, other types of barley wine forever, since the 90s, before anyone wanted to buy these things. And so they're kind of an OG. I definitely recommend checking them out if you're in Portland. They're in an area there's a few other breweries around there. The Modern Times Brewery is really close to them. They have a really cool kind of vintage bottle list, so you can check out because a lot of their beer is better with age on it, and you can kind of check out some of their older vintage beers and stuff. Definitely worth it.
I kind of want to buy another because this is a 2019, so I kind of want to buy another one and then just throw it in the closet for a year or two and see what happens.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Probably good things.
Yeah, probably. Anyway. I don't know. Right. Basketball. God damn it.
A really, really shitty week for basketball all around.
Ugh. Fuck. And by the way, right now I am watching Malachi Flynn play for San Diego State against Fresno State on ESPN.
Oh, fun.
Dude, how much more awesome would we be if we just had Malachi Flynn right now?
Yeah, him with CJ would be quite a combo.
Yeah, son of a bitch. God damn it, Ernie Kent. Damn you.
Well, he did recruit him.
He did, but he pissed him off enough that he transferred out, so hooray. I don't know.
But yeah, anyway. Really shitty weekend.
Super shitty weekend.
You guys heard us watching Cal during the podcast last week. That was an atrocity.
Yeah. Sorry for that, everyone.
Just a defensive complete meltdown.
Yeah.
And CJ once again.
Both games really had the same defensive issue. They just could not keep anybody away from the rim.
Yeah, which is
concerning.
Concerning, very concerning. Stanford, their bigs, particularly, God damn it, De Silva just destroyed them. The only thing that kept that game from being worse in the second half when WC made their run is because De Silva got in foul trouble, and then he came back in, and then they pushed the lead back out again. And then obviously Stanford's point guard is very good. And we had Tyrell Terry. He was very impressive. And then, of course, their off guard, I can't remember which guy it was, Isaac White, no, not Isaac White. Was it Isaac White?
Yeah. Yeah, you're thinking of Isaac White.
Yeah, he just lit us up.
Yep.
And he wasn't very good. Like, if you look at his stats now, they look pretty good. It's because he hadn't shot very much the entire year. And he was not very good. And then he just has the game of his life against WSU.
Of course. We've gotten used to that.
It was a very vintage last 4 years weekend that we had down in the Bay Area.
Yeah, it was.
And it was very frustrating.
It was right down to the shooting where at Stanford we shot 12 of 27 from 3, which is 44%. That's really good. We also shot 34.5% on twos. That's really, 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 really bad. Yeah, we just, we struggle with size. We struggle with length. Stanford's, we knew, you wrote the preview. I mean, we knew Stanford's defense was very, 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 very good.
Yeah, top 10 defense.
Yep, and that definitely proved to be true. And then I think there's, to be honest, I think it's worth mentioning, Stanford started the year ranked number 92 by KenPom. They're all the way up to 39 now. They're pretty damn good. And I talked to, I actually did text a little bit with somebody close to the basketball program who said that, they feel like, Stanford's actually probably good enough to win the league.
Like De Silva and Terry are as good a combo as you have just leading leading the way. Like,
yep.
De Silva is very impressive.
Yep.
And Terry awesome. Terry is so smooth for a freshman. Like, it's like I don't know what his recruiting ranking was, but he looks legit right off the bat.
Yeah, I mean, he's shooting 42% from three.
90% from the line.
Yeah, 90% from the line. Not that he gets the line that much, but when he does get there, he's nails. 3% steal rate, high assist rate with a low turnover rate for a point guard. Really high defensive rebounding percentage for a point guard. He's just kind of doing it all. And he may not win the Freshman of the Year award in the conference because there's some really good freshmen. Arizona's got a couple. But they're really good. Stanford's really good. To improve from 92 to 39, that's not a super easy thing to do. And their only two losses are to fourth ranked in Ken Palm anyway. Fourth ranked Butler by 1 point on a neutral floor, and then they lost to the second ranked Kansas at home by about 16. So. But other than that, legit. They've been doing very well for themselves, and definitely a bit of a surprise to me that they've played this well. Just because I didn't think much of Jared Haas as a coach, but he's definitely proven me wrong, and particularly their defense is fairly ridiculous.
And you know who had their counterparts in the Bay Area had a great weekend in part thanks to us, but also
how about that?
Upsetting Washington as well.
Yeah, UW comes out 0-2 just like us.
Yeah, it takes some of the sting out of okay, maybe Cal isn't that bad, but I think they are. But it's just, I don't know. Like maybe at home, because Bradley is legitimately good, and we had a lot of trouble with him. But Paris Austin was the frustrating one. Like he has not been good. And he was just getting to the rim at will. Just at will against the Cougs. I mean, this is a guy that shot 7 threes all year. And I think one of the ones he made might have been against WSU.
Yeah.
But he shot 7 threes all year. You know where he's going with the ball. And the Cougs just could not stop him. And it was very frustrating to watch. There was a lot of guys on Cal, particularly those two, but that just had really good games, and it just felt like it was partially WC's defense that was letting them have it, and that's really frustrating because we came off a weekend previously where WC just had a great defensive weekend, and then they come out and just get shredded by a really bad team on Thursday, and then by a pretty good team.
To be honest, I'm not sure how much of it was effort, was tired legs, was whatever. It looked to me like the effort maybe wasn't quite as strong. And not that college kids are great at giving maximum effort at all times, because they're definitely not. So, it could have been some of that, but I definitely felt like there was, that maybe they weren't not just not playing as well as they had been, but maybe not as being as invested in playing hard of every minute of every game as they had been. So I think that's really the key for them, and hopefully this weekend is a little bit of a teaching tool for them, because it's basically what we talked about, not on last week's podcast, but a couple weeks ago, where we talked about, look, it's gonna be a tough road right now. There's not a lot of there are not a lot of soft games in here.
That made that Cal loss hurt.
Yeah, that Cal loss was difficult. And the person I talked to, close to the program, they sort of expressed the same thing. They felt like Cal was the one they should have had. And that's one they should have won, and they didn't. And so now again they're facing Oregon on Thursday, and Oregon is very, very, very good. Probably the best team we've played all year. Definitely the best team by Ken Palm ranking, and so certainly the best team we've played this year. Oregon State on Saturday for Klay game. I suppose we'll talk about that, but Oregon State just beat Arizona, just like whipped Arizona. Granted, that was at home, and right now, so far this year, home teams are having pretty uncommon amount of success in the conference. So maybe there's something to that, maybe there's not. But Oregon State is certainly no gimme. So that's going to be a super tough game. And then you got Colorado. And then you're playing Utah on the road, and we know what happens. Know what typically happens there. So, yeah.
WSU lost to Utah once when I think they were ranked in 300s.
Yeah,
on the road. So
it's looking rough, and maybe that's where losing to Cal really kind of bums you out, like you were saying, because the road is so difficult after that, and it really is. The next team we play that's above even 40% win probability is playing Arizona State at home. And the only team the entire rest of the season that's above 50% win probability is Cal when we play them at home on February 19th. Outside of that, every other game except for that Arizona State game is under 40% win probability for us. And we just found out Jalen Shedd is not going to be coming back this year.
Yep.
Yeah.
So that's
tough,
basically
man. Tough.
two out of your expected top 6, I would say, in rotation.
Out for the year.
Out for
and
the
grad
year.
transfers. That's the other thing.
Grad
you expect those guys to be major
leaders.
contributors. Yeah.
Yep. So, 2 out of top 6. I don't know if Deion James would have started, but maybe he would have been off and on starter. But
he definitely is like your first guy off the bench.
Yeah.
Even if he's not a starter because maybe positions don't fit together or whatever. Definitely a key cog.
You got 2 of your expected top 6 grad transfers that you brought in specifically to be key contributors, and they're both done for the year potentially. Jalen Shedd's not confirmed, but Kyle Smith didn't sound too optimistic about him.
I'd be shocked if he comes back. Just the way that it was that Smith was saying it. I felt like he was trying to not just be definitive that we're shutting him down, but mostly being like, that's probably the end of the road.
And then you have Marvin Cannon's not been playing.
Yep, still been out.
They've been getting some decent minutes from Ryan Rapp, but that he's been playing 5 minutes a game, so you don't really know.
Yep.
They've Noah Williams, particularly defensively, has looked very good. But still, you're getting, it's 2 guys out of an 8-man rotation that are out, and so now you're having to go. Luckily Tony Miller's been decent, but we saw this weekend that he can be taken out of a game pretty easily. He didn't do a whole lot, so it's tough. Yeah, so he didn't even play against Stanford. He was injured, I think. But he didn't do much of anything against Cal, and it was it's rough that in this season where the team is very much improved, and we've talked about it over again, but the Pac-12 has also improved every single team, and maybe not every single. Utah is not better, but then you come in with all these minutes that have been missed from key contributors, Jalen Shedd and Deion James, Marvin Cannon, and then even the next guy up is missing a game. So it's okay, maybe this season is doomed from the start. And CJ is struggling. Obviously, he shot better from outside this weekend, but he really hit what was his bread and butter early on in the season was getting to the rim, and he has not been doing that. He's been missing a lot of fadeaway 15-footers that even he was making earlier in the season. So he's definitely struggling, and not defensively, I'll say. He's been tearing it up defensively, but otherwise offensively, and he's clearly the most important offensive player that we have, and he's just having a rough time. And so it's kind of all the optimism and excitement we had after the UCLA win is it's a bit down, but Klay Thompson is coming to Pullman on Saturday.
Hell yeah, exciting. He is.
And Stephen Curry is also coming to Pullman.
Yeah, how about that? Now I'm super pissed that I'm not going.
Yeah, Jeff, I got a damn empty seat. I don't know what to do with. Dude.
If I wasn't coaching basketball, that's my issue. I got a 4th grade basketball game to coach that I can't get out of. I don't have an assistant coach. I can't go away.
Yeah. I have just got an empty ticket, Jeff. I don't know.
I know.
I don't know. Empty queen.
I know. And you had a hotel room, and you had like the whole 9 yards. Like I could have, done this.
But yeah, me and Preston and I will just be.
You can stop now.
We'll be drinking with Klay and
you can
Steph
stop now. You can stop
at Mike's or whatever, and we'll be having a great time.
What are the odds that Klay does the college town tour after this thing? Like that he just is like, I'm gonna hit all the spots and everybody's gonna. I don't know. Does he buy the drinks or does everybody buy the drinks for him? Like,
well, I mean, everyone's going to be drunk enough to be like, hell yeah, I'll buy you a drink, Klay. Klay, who is, just signed a $180 million contract. And Steph, who also. But, like, no, I don't know. Maybe at not.
I mean, what else are you going to do in Pullman, though, right? He's definitely staying for the night, right?
I don't know.
Like, he's not flying right back out. There's no way he's flying right back out.
Maybe he is the 1 o'clock game.
No way. He's sticking. Dude, listen. He loves Pullman as much as we do. You
think he's going to take Steph Curry at? Maybe they'll get drinks at the Residence Inn bar.
No way. He's going to take him out. Come on. You have to. Klay's going to be like, yo, let me show you Pullman. Go up to Valhalla. Take him to the Coug.
I think most of the athletes' spot is Mike's, or Stubblefield's, and
just take him around.
I think that's where
show him around. Be like, hey, Steph, I'll show you a real college experience. I mean, Steph went to Davidson.
Yeah, I'm sure Davidson doesn't have.
Hell no, it's Pullman. Come on. I think that's what's going to happen. So make sure you stake out. Make sure you don't look too creepy doing it, though.
Well, I think it'd be funny because I am taller than Steph Curry. So.
By a lot.
By an inch or two.
No.
Inch or two.
He's what? Is he really?
Yeah, I think he's 6'3".
For some reason, I thought he was like 6'2", 6'1". But I could be.
He's 6'3".
Would not be the first time I was wrong.
Only a couple inches. I think
if he's listed at 6, I'll bet he's listed at 6'3", but isn't actually 6'3".
I feel like the first time I saw Klay, he was shorter than me.
But Clay's definitely 6'7". Clay's a legit 6'7".
He grew a couple inches in college.
Yeah, he did. He definitely did.
But yeah, I don't know. It'd be cool if he just went around buying drinks for all the college kids.
That would be cool.
Be nice.
How like seriously, like if I had that kind of money, like it'd be so much fun to just walk into a place like that and just be like, "Yo, I'm buying beers for everybody. Let's go."
Do you think Klay has access to his funds now? Or
I think he does.
You think once you get the max contract,
once you sign the max contract, I think you actually get access to your own money. That'd be my guess.
I would hope so.
Yeah, I think Michael had to loosen up the purse strings there for his son. So, yeah, I mean, if you were Klay, wouldn't you do this? Like
well, honestly, what's a round of drinks at the Coug?
Let's imagine a world where you can just buy drinks for everybody all night in Pullman. Do you do it? And the answer is, of course you do. Right? Like you just open it, like you just said. How much would it be? Like if I just went, yo, open tab for the next hour, like how much would that actually cost you at a place like the Coug?
I don't know.
$1,000? Couple $1,000?
More than $1,000.
Okay,
Definitely.
a couple $1,000? I mean, what's that? You just signed a $180 million contract. What's that? That's nothing.
An hour at the Coug, people buying drinks constantly.
Yeah.
Well, not the Coug. He wouldn't do it at the Coug because.
All right, Mike's, Stubblefields, whatever.
Because I think
Valhalla,
I think like Mike's or Valhalla, there could be a place where he could like stand away from people, but that's not happening at the Coug.
Right, at the Coug, he's getting crushed.
Yeah, there's no way. Yeah. There's nowhere to go to stand away from people.
But it doesn't matter. I mean, anywhere he goes, there's not going to be a VIP room for him to go into. So there's not going to be a rope to keep the commoners away.
Well, there might be on Klay weekend. You never know.
Maybe. I don't know. Like, wouldn't that would be funny? Like if like his agent called ahead of time and he's got like a bodyguard and like get the private room back here for Klay.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Should be fun.
I'm excited for you, man. I wish I was going and it sounds like a blast.
Yeah, maybe we'll just hang out with Rolovich and Klay and.
I mean,
Steph Curry.
they're definitely going to announce Rolovich during that game, right?
Yeah,
like at some point. I don't know when, but maybe during one of the TV timeouts or something.
Definitely.
Because I imagine they're doing the Klay ceremony during halftime. So.
Yeah, I was thinking halftime or probably not before the game, right?
I can't imagine they would do that because our fans are really terrible at being in their seats before the game.
And just terrible at going to basketball games.
Well,
I
that
think
too.
It'll be pretty.
That
too. We're gonna have a pretty good crowd for this one.
I would think so, man. People are pretty excited, and should be tons of students one way or another. As you know, that's really what makes the difference. Like, is the number of students and the energy they bring. So,
yeah, I hope the student. That's what I think. I think there'll be a lot of alumni there. But I think that the students. I hope that I'm guessing the students have a love for Klay.
I would think so.
You watch because the Warriors have just been so prominent.
Yeah.
And then you watch them, and then someone's like, "Yeah, he went to school at WSU." It's like, "Oh, hell yeah!"
Yeah.
So I don't know. I'm hoping I see a vintage student section.
I hope so.
And that'll be fun. Obviously, like no one knows what to do or what to cheer. They're just gonna
That's also
do whatever.
true.
But I remember that from Bennett's first year. Like we're just like, I don't know, let's just be loud, I guess. I don't know. Like we usually just talk crap to the other players because they can definitely hear us because there's only 10 people in the building, and then suddenly there was people in the building. But yeah, I don't know, man. I'm super excited to go to Pullman. I'm not excited to drive there.
Nope.
That
Never is all that
fun.
exciting, but
no.
Hopefully
especially
the passes are okay for you.
Yeah.
Glad
I purchased that all-wheel drive RAV4.
Hell yeah. Makes all the difference.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I don't know. Is there anything else?
I don't know. Rolo!
Yeah. Rolo. Should I eat another Rolo and chomp on it right into the microphone?
It's a pretty damn good weekend, dude.
It is.
We got a new coach. We got Klay and Steph coming to town.
Yeah.
Man.
It's a lot of fun.
Like, we're going to be handing Curry an honorary WSU degree by Sunday morning.
Yeah. We'll be like, hell yeah, you're one of us. Come on over here. You didn't go to a real school. Come on over to ours. It's all good. Yeah.
What if Steph just likes it so much, like, they just, like, covertly come to Pullman to hang out.
Totally.
Like, random weekends.
Totally. I'd be down with that. Oh, hey, one other quick thing one of the sports related thing that I think we should point out. The basketball player best known as Bobi Buckets.
Oh, of course. Bobi
right?
Buckets.
Like, we got to point this out. So her actual name is Borislava Hristova, but she is now the second member of the 2,000 point club in WSU basketball.
And the leading member.
Yeah, well, joining Isaac Fontaine. I don't know that she's passed Ike in total points yet, but
yes, she did.
Did she pass him?
Yep.
Okay. All right. So she passed Isaac Fontaine.
I was watching their most recent game, and they were making a big point of that. They're like, "You're the leader." I think it was during the UW game. So she passed Fontaine because they were like making a big point of saying, "You're the leader of men or women points all time."
Super cool, man. So, and I was in school when Isaac was there. I watched his march to pass Steve Padakis and get to that 2,000 point barrier. Of course, Klay would have obliterated that if he'd stuck around for one more year, but he didn't.
So that would have.
That would have been. He would have been 2,300, 2,400 points, depending, something like that. So he would have ended up there, but he didn't. So Isaac Fontaine, still the men's leading scorer, but no longer the basketball leading scorer. That's now the honor that belongs to Bobi Buckets, and that's super cool. And
she did it in Seattle.
She did it in Seattle against UW in a win. Yeah, an Apple Cup win. How does that feel?
The Apple Cup Series.
Apple Cup Series win. So that's cool. Women's basketball team is doing okay. They start off strong.
Some big wins. They've had some big losses.
Yeah, started strong. Kind of hit that stretch that they had in that tournament. where they played like 3 really good teams, seemed to kind of throw them off the rails a little bit.
Yep.
But back on track with a win over UW, which is great. And seem to be heading in the right direction under Kami Etheridge, which is cool. And watch women's basketball or something.
So Klay had 733 points his senior year.
His junior year, you mean?
His junior year, and he finished with 1,756. So
okay,
yeah,
so he would have been like
hit 2,500.
He might have hit 2,500. Yeah.
Yeah.
If you figure he probably scores more his senior year.
Probably goes to the tournament too.
Yeah. Whatever. Let's not talk about that. You and all the people who are going to be at that game on Saturday going like, yeah, but he never made the tournament.
Oh yeah, I'll be like that.
Yeah,
you never made the tournament, Klay.
There's definitely going to be some grumpy old people around you. They're going to be like, and they won't say it like, but he never made the tournament. What they'll say is things like, man, imagine if he'd made a tournament. They'll say it like that, right? Which is sort of the backhanded, way of criticizing his college career. Definitely his fault that he was surrounded by a bunch of chumps.
He won 3 NIT.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely his fault he was surrounded by dudes who couldn't play that well. But whatever.
733 points is...
That's a lot of points in one year, man.
It was junior season.
So many points in 1 year. Yeah, last game of his career, Nice little or last Pac-12 game of his career, nice 43. Little 43.
His last game of his career was very bad.
Yeah, that one was worse. Let's not talk
game.
About that one.
Yeah, that was not good.
He didn't get a lot of help in that game.
No.
Nobody played well in that game.
That was a bad game.
That was a bad game. All right. What else? Anything else? We done? I don't know.
Nope, I'm good.
Yeah.
But I do want... if you're listening, you're probably listening and you don't usually listen to all of them. But we would like if you subscribed.
That's always good.
Gets automatically delivered to your device. We would like if you like it, go ahead and rate us 5 stars on your service of choice, particularly on Apple, because that's what most people use, or Spotify or whatever else you listen to it on. Yeah, and leave us a comment if you want. I like reading them. It's fun. People don't really leave comments that often. Maybe we'll read some on the air.
Sure.
Call it. The digital air.
Yeah, it's not really air, but whatever.
And if you want to send us an email, podcast versus everyone, that's VS everyone at gmail.com. If you want to follow me on Twitter to see beer pictures and the like, at the Craig Powers. And then if you want to follow mostly Jeff, 100% Jeff actually at this point.
Yeah.
I've actually refrained from even tweeting from it because Jeff dominates it.
I can't ever stop Twitter, man. I keep trying. It's terrible.
But Jeff gave up his 5,000 Twitter follower account
for like the 300
Twitter follower account. But
I should have sold it. That's what I should have done.
Yeah, no shit, man.
I should have made some money.
You gave up your influencer status.
I know. I could have even probably gotten a blue check mark if I'd tried.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's at pod versus everyone. The cover photo is my daughter, but it's all Jeff all the time.
Yeah. Come for the Cougar takes, stay for the Donald Trump criticism.
Yep. We've moved that to the Twitter account. It's no longer on the podcast.
You know what? There will be a point in the podcast where it's like, you know what? We need to talk politics again, but we're not there yet. I don't know. We can talk politics now if you want.
I don't want to.
Okay. Go Cougs, Craig.
Go Cougs.